Right, looks like everything's good. Welcome in, guys. We'll see you here in about 5 minutes with Paul Markel, student of the gun. Cameras are up.
This is Armed American Radio's Daily Defense.
Armed American Radio's Daily Defense, because they don't want me to, that's why I do it.
Presented by the National Rifle Association. From the CZ Studios.
They're never going to stop us here.
Here is your host, the loudest conservative voice in America fighting the enemies of freedom, Mark Walters.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Armed American Radio's Daily Defense from the CZ Studios begins right now. Patriot Mobile Command Center microphone fired up for you, and it's all being brought to you by the National Rifle Association. Greg in Dallas, Texas, how you doing, my brother?
Not pretty good. Here we are. It's Friday.
We made it.
It took all week.
It always takes all week. I spoke to Andy yesterday. Andy Hoosier, ladies and gentlemen. I was invited to speak. I mentioned this briefly yesterday, and I want to make a point because it upsets me that I can't do this. But I was invited to speak. David Hogg is speaking at a college in Jackson, Kansas, on Saturday, the 16th of August, coming up. I believe I have that date correct. And the college Republicans up there decided we're going to use the same venue the night before, David Hogg's little Democrat deal, and we're going to do a pro-gun rally. And they asked me to come up and a couple others to speak in very quick notice. And unfortunately, I have something else I have to do. I have to be at Gun Owners of America convention meeting with some sponsors the weekend before, and I have some personal things, and I just couldn't get out of it. But good heavens, because that's going to be raucous. You're going to have some Democrat kids show up to protest the pro-gun stuff, and I would have just eaten that alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
That would have been a lot of fun. But I'm not going to be able to do that, unfortunately. Anyway, I wanted to throw that out there because I did mention it briefly yesterday. I thought I was going to be able to do that and found out today that I could not, sadly. Anyway, Greg, we are on all of our platforms today. You can watch us live. You can catch us on Facebook, facebook.com/armedamericanradio, facebook.com/armedamericanradio. Greg, you can take the rest and tell people where they can participate in the chat. And we'll have a conversation with Paul Markel, student of the gun, for the rest of the hour.
Yeah, other places to watch the show are going to be YouTube and Rumble. Just do a search for Armed American Radio with Mark Walters. Over on X, we're at AAR Mark. You can head over to armedamericanradio.org or .com, hit that menu icon, and then select your watch live or listen live options. To join the live chat, just download Telegram, create your profile, and search for Armed American Radio Conversations.
Bam, bam. Thank you, radio, man. That'll do it for you. Paul Markel, student of the gun. How you doing, brother?
Oh, I'm just great. Just fantastic. Thank you.
So, Paul, it's a Friday. I got you on the show. It's been a busy, weird week, to be honest with you. A lot of news coming out about the SIG P320. We're gonna talk about that today because we have to. Yeah. But I'm gonna be as fair as possible here, all the way around. But I want people to hear both sides of this, and they will make up their own decisions, and make up their own mind. But I had Hickok 45 on the program months back when I was broadcasting. I don't remember which time it was, from Bud's Gun Shop, and he's got 8 million followers over on YouTube. It's a pretty substantial amount of followers. He put something out 2 days ago on the SIG P320, and did you happen to see it? Do you see anything that he does by any chance?
No, not usually. I don't generally follow
some of the gun YouTubers. Yeah, I kind of stay away from it as well too, but I know him fairly well. He's a great guy, and I was really looking forward to getting his take on that. But I think one of the things we should probably do is I want to mention part of the statement. So I'm going to read and paraphrase some of the statement from SIG that was put out 3 days ago. Is that fair enough, Paul? You want to humor me for a minute?
Sure. Go for it.
So, guys, as you know, Paul, why don't you tell people what the beef is about the 320, and then I'll go into this. Go ahead.
Okay. So this has been going on for years and years now. And to be quite frank, when it first started happening, my gut reaction was every time a police officer, or anyone for that matter, has a negligent discharge, their first response is to blame the gun.
Of course.
Right. And so you get some natural, if you're SIG, you get natural cover from that because that's just the nature of the beast. It's like when people say, I was cleaning my gun and it went off.
It
like,
just
okay,
went off.
cool.
It just went off.
Yeah, it just went off. It's a cool story, bro. But then, thanks to the 1984 world that we live in, when surveillance footage started leaking out of cops like wrestling with people or arresting people or moving around or whatever, and all of a sudden the pistol that was lodged in the holster goes kapow. You're like, oh, okay. Then we started having the conversation, and immediately, of course, it became, what holster was it?
Yeah.
What kind of flashlight was on it? Was it the holster flashlight combination?
Was it seated properly? Was there something? Was there a
the
shirt tucked in? One
gun,
of the little balls from the bottom of your thing? Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
The gun wasn't in the holster properly because of the weapon mounted light. Derp, derp, derp. So we start, but now you start ticking them off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you realize all the holsters are different. All the flashlights are different. All the ammo is different. It's different cops. It's male cops. It's female cops. But there's one common denominator, and that's the P320. And then, we have an airman in Wyoming dies, and now they can't cover it up.
Well, and let's again. I want to be fair to Sig. I'm just going to give you the facts, ladies and gentlemen, as we know them today. You can make up your own mind. Not attacking Sig. I'm not attacking the P320, and I'm not attacking anybody that, as Paul just mentioned, happened to have a negligent discharge or accidental discharge with this gun. And being fair, Sig has won the vast majority of these lawsuits, and many of those examples that you mentioned have been found to be the case in a number of these lawsuits. Okay. But so keep in mind, folks, now with the airman in Wyoming, he had taken the holster off and set the gun in the holster down, and I believe it was in a Safariland holster, if I'm not mistaken. And when he set it down, it discharged, shot him in the chest. He was dead. Now, there's a couple things there. Why is the muzzle facing you in the first place? And I'm not blaming the victim. But that in order for that to happen, that's what had to happen, Paul. Let's just be real. Okay, when he set the pistol down, the muzzle was pointed at a place it probably shouldn't have been. But I don't think he was thinking a holstered gun was going to go off either when it's holstered securely in its Safariland holster. And nothing against Safariland, it's just the holster it happened to be in, folks. We're not going to shy away from talking about this. And I think when I was watching, and I would recommend, ladies and gentlemen, if you follow Hickok 45 on YouTube, by all means go watch his video. He was incredibly fair. And he pulled out 2 of his own P320s. Now I have a P322, one of the originals, Paul, when it was first put out. And I love the gun. But I want to make this clear. There are millions of 320s out there, millions of them in service, people carrying them in the line of service. Millions of civilians have these guns. The more guns that are on the market, the more of these things you're going to see happen, okay? Glock went through it, et cetera. They fought the whole no external safety deal for how long, Paul? And the more guns you have on the market, the more of these things, because human beings are human beings. Human beings will make mistakes. But you're right. As we begin to see more of this evidence, as Hickok was pointing out, he said, I feel terrible for Sig, and I do too, because of what they're going through, what's happening here. I don't know. I'm not alluding a cover-up or anything like that. I'm just talking about this because this is what we know, and this is what has happened. But it appears there is a problem here, all right? And as he mentioned, I've never had a problem with my gun, even if it's 1/100th of a percent of the guns that are out there that might have something in them, like a sear or something that's not spec. Do you know if it's that if your gun is part of that 1/100th of a percent? Therefore, you have a trust issue. And what are you going to do with the gun now? Sell it for $50? Who's going to buy a new one? These are the questions that SIG is now facing, and they're in a terrible position right now. And I don't believe they've handled this properly either. So I want to go into this. Go ahead, Paul.
Okay, no, I mean I see this. It's insane. These people who have attached, and that's what we do as a gun culture or a gun community. Culture, not so much community. We freaking attach our ego to an object.
Yeah.
We attach our ego to a brand. Mm-hmm. and these like SIG fanboys are all
I
over
knew
the
you
internet.
were going to
They're
say that because that's what
they're like,
happens. They become fanboys.
I've had a SIG for nothing. It never happened to me. Oh, okay. Well,
good for
and
you. That's be,
what does
be
that
happy.
mean?
Well, be happy it didn't happen. Same thing about a Glock. Anything. We have 30 seconds.
They're like,
go ahead.
Okay, yeah. And I said, well, somebody said that the other day. They're like, I don't believe it. And I said, well, there's a dead airman in Wyoming who would dispute that with you.
Yeah, when we come back from the break, ladies and gentlemen, I want to read you some of SIG's statements so that you can hear it. You might not have seen this. A lot of people didn't know it was out there. I had some conversations. I've read through this, and I find it interesting. Look, SIG has doubled, tripled, and quadrupled down here. Ladies and gentlemen, over the number of 3 years, SIG Sauer Studios. You've heard SIG talk about this. The CEO has been on this show, Ron Cohen, 3 times to talk about this. We've had other members of their marketing department, et cetera, on the program before. And SIG is sticking by their guns, pun intended here. When we come back, we'll read you some of their statements, and you can determine, are they handling it right? We'll be right back. Don't go away.
The following segment of Armed American Radio's Daily Defense is being brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Visit patriotmobile.com/AAR and use the AAR promo code to get free activation today. Welcome back to the show.
All right, guys, this is going to be a fascinating conversation. And I want you to go into this with an open mind and to make up your own mind here. You're right. Paul Markel, student of the gun. Welcome back, brother. And it was funny when you said fanboys, because that's what it's called out there in the chat rooms and everything else. You got Glock fanboys, you got Trainer fanboys by name. You got other manufacturer by name. There's nothing wrong with that. People like their guns. They latch onto it. It's no big deal, Some people like driving Chevy trucks.
I'll tell you what's wrong with it.
Rams, Go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you what's wrong with it. What's wrong with it is it's intellectually dishonest.
It could be.
It inhibits your ability to grow as a human. I'm not perfect. No one is perfect. But the fact of the matter is, we're supposed to. We're supposed to. As a trainer, I tell my students, I'm like, if you're going to make mistakes, you make them here on the range.
Right.
I want you to make them here on the range because I want you to make those mistakes, learn from them, and then leave here and not make those mistakes. But if mistakes are being made, I don't know how far you want to get into their SIG statement, so I won't cut you off at these, but I'll tell you, I went to our radio show last week, and I said, look, we had to make a decision, and we're just telling our students don't show up with SIG 320 guns or, any variant.
All right, that was going to be one of my questions. As a trainer, have you pulled them from your classes and ranges?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so you're a part of that group. Many have. You're not alone. Many have. And I think that's important that you point that out. So let's stop there. Let me read some of this statement. Before I do that, I want to give you an example. Years ago, my father was with Eli Lilly Drug Company for years and years and years as he was climbing the corporate ladder. A background in pharmacy, and he was upper management, moved into the VP and hospital sales and all this stuff. Lilly created a drug by the name of Oraflex, and some of you out there might remember this. It was the closest thing ever produced to a cure for arthritis. And I remember when the drug was released, Paul, back in the early 80s. And it was a big deal for Eli Lilly, but millions of people around the globe were finally able to move their fingers. They were finally able to do things because of the release of this drug that had been going through the FDA pipeline for 15 or 20 years. When it was finally released, it was really a life-changing drug for many people, the closest thing we've ever had to a cure for arthritis. And it was clearly in the indications, it said that you cannot prescribe, for doctors not to prescribe this drug to people who had certain liver conditions. Well, the drug was released in Europe before the United States because they always beat us to the punch because they don't have an FDA and we do. A few people died in Europe, about a handful of folks, 4 or 5 people died in Europe. And it was come to find out that these people had been prescribed the drug that actually had these liver problems. And it got a huge bad rap on its release in the United States. In 1982, Lilly voluntarily pulled that drug off the market because of the press it was getting, even though the drug was perfectly safe unless you had this liver condition, this particular liver condition. They pulled it off. Millions of people around the globe were devastated when it came off the market, and there's still never been anything even close to it. The reason I mention that is I want you to keep that in the back of your mind because SIG has doubled, tripled, and quadrupled down on this. And as far as I know, Paul, there's no talk about pulling the P320. In fact, if we look at some of these statements here from SIG, and humor me for just a minute, Paul, while I read through some of this and paraphrase. Let's start with heading number 1. Keep that story I just told you in the back of your head. Is this something SIG should have done? Even though they know they're right. Think about that in that perspective, or they think they are. Recently, there have been a number of reports and claims regarding the safety of the P320 pistols and its use by the U.S. military and law enforcement agencies. We understand you may have questions. We want to address your concerns and provide you with full, complete, and accurate info. Sig Sauer has always and will continue to put the safety and security of the U.S. military, law enforcement community, consumers, and the public first. To this end, we want to be sure concerned citizens have access to complete facts. The P320 pistol is one of the safest, most advanced pistols in the world, meeting and exceeding all industry safety standards. Its design has been thoroughly tested and validated by the U.S. military, law enforcement agencies at the federal, state, and local levels. In addition, the P320 has been rigorously tested and is currently in use by militaries and law enforcement agencies around the world. Now, they go next into the FBI testing report, which I won't spend any time on. Then they address, Paul, the memo from the Department of Homeland Security. An internal memo from the Department of Homeland Security, ICE, was recently posted online stating that the agency was halting its use of the P320. Many online media outlets immediately sought to attribute this to the above referenced FBI report, which is incorrect. DHS has never raised any safety concerns about the P320, and ICE has since extended their existing contract with Sig Sauer another 2 years. Since DHS has yet to comment publicly correcting their improperly leaked memo or any statements questioning the safety of the P320, we are now urging ICE to release all information on P320 testing. Let's start there, Paul.
Okay. That's all nice and everything. The thing is, everything that just was said means nothing from a corporate. It's like, of course, you're going to say that. What are you going to say? Something the opposite? You know, that's like, we love America and babies, and we love the military, and we love law enforcement, and we all, it's like, okay, blah, 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 blah. That's cool. Here's what I went online, you know, and the thing that was funny was we actually did our show, and I laid out my case, and, you know, I try not to be, you know, vitriolic, but you know, I laid my case out, and I said, look, here's something that SIG has not explained, and until they do explain it, I don't feel comfortable. We all know about them very sneakily changing the owner's manuals.
The manual.
Verbiage in the owner's manuals.
Right.
They did it with the P320, and they did it with the military service pistol, the M18, M17, right? You could right now, and first I didn't believe it. I was like, because you can do anything on the internet. Then I went to the SIG website. Mm-hmm. I pulled up their PDF version of both the P320 and the M18. And it says that you should never, I'm paraphrasing, but never chamber a round until you are, quote, ready to use the gun. What does that mean?
Well, it means they're telling you to keep the gun unchambered, as to avoid the new lingo here, an uncommanded discharge, which is the same as a negligent, or what you would refer to as an accidental discharge for those who might not know. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, all right, that is scummy. I'm going to go. You don't have to say it, Mark. You can take the high ground. I'll take the low ground. That is scummy, slimy lawyer talk, right? That's like, well, you know, you shouldn't have laid it around. Everybody knows that. And it's like, until you're ready to use it. What does the word ready mean? Does it mean going on duty? Or does it mean standing on the firing line and I'm planning in the next 30 seconds to fire a round?
Right.
Okay? Because that word, until you're ready to use the gun, that is purposely and deliberately vague. They did that on purpose to try and give themselves some kind of, I don't know.
That to me, I think you hit it. That to me is lawyer speak. And I'm not taking high ground, low ground. Guys, we're just reporting what's going on. You make up your own mind. At the end of the show, I'll tell you what my personal views are, because I have a P320, and I'll do pretty much like Hickok 45 did. I'll give you my thoughts going forward, and I'm sure Paul will as well. We'll be right back.
freedom by visiting nra.org/AAR and join today. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, welcome back to the show indeed. You know the show is being brought to you by the National Rifle Association, and I want to thank those of you who have joined. We are running out of the bags, but we were allocated another couple hundred. I don't know where we are in that. I haven't seen a report, but I know they are flying off the shelf. So if you want to get one, it's real easy to do, nra.org/AAR, and please join us. We need the numbers at the NRA. I don't give a crap if you give them another dime ever again. I just want you to join. I've said that for years. This country needs a strong National Rifle Association, and by strong, numbers. All right? That's what matters. Simply join the National Rifle Association. Help us out here. Become a part of that 800, now 900-pound gorilla in the room, and many of you have. That's why I've moved it from 800 to 900, because a lot of you are joining, and that's exactly what has to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, in order for the National Rifle Association to continue moving forward, we need you on the rolls. It's that simple. It's $35 for a year. Join. You get a free range bag. I have it down here. I'll show it during a break. You get the range bag for 1 year or 3 year membership. 5 year to life membership, either of those two options. You get the 10x42 binoculars. They are super high quality with the case and the lens covers. Take your pick. I don't care if you donate anything else. Just join the National Rifle Association. Become a member and help us. They are working with all of the organizations we work with to advance our gun rights, not just at the federal level, but those of you behind those 12 blue wall states, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And when you listen to Hako and you listen to Mom Dami, the commie, these people want your guns, and they're not going to stop, ever. They're going to jump on every tragedy they can to come after you and your gun rights. The National Rifle Association is there to put up a huge wall and to stop them. And we need you to do it. Please join. You can do it on my website at nra.org/AAR. You can click on my website, just hit the logo. It'll take you right there. Join us, won't you please, and help us. We need your help here. We need you on that list. It's that simple, okay? I wish I could pay for every single one of you because we need you on the list. So join us and help us move forward. It's not the old NRA. It's a new organization. Help us, won't you please? You can find the NRA and all of our great partners at armedamericanradio.com or .org. Take your pick. Welcome back. Paul Markel, student of the gun. You know, you mentioned the high road, low road. I'm trying not to take any road here, okay? I just want to report what's going on. Here's what you're seeing online. You make up your own mind. Here's what SIG is saying. Folks, you are smart enough to make your own decisions here at Armed American Radio. Most of you are gun owners. You get it. Many of you probably have a P320 like I do, all right? Let's continue with some of the statements here. Now, regarding the U.S. Air Force and the, I think it was the, the Special Combat Group, if I'm not mistaken. There was a recent tragic incident, this is direct from SIG, at F.E. Warren Air Force Base in Wyoming, which resulted in the death of an airman. Because the incident involved the discharge of a P320-based M18 pistol, the Air Force is actively conducting an evaluation of M18 pistols within the specific command where the incident happened. This cautionary step is standard procedure. We proactively offered assistance to the U.S. military as they investigate the incident. Contrary to several online reports, P320-based M17 and M18 pistols remain on active duty with all branches of the U.S. military, including the U.S. Air Force, defending freedom around the world. We have absolute confidence in the U.S. military's ability to conduct a thorough investigation and report their findings. As we learn more information about the investigation, we will continue to provide updated information. Paul, I think I know how you're going to respond to that, similar to the way you did when we were mentioning, or mentioned Homeland Security.
It's like, rah, rah, let me wave the flag, blah, 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 blah. Well, it's not just that base. It's now that entire command, which covers numerous bases, has removed the pistols. And so they're trying to play it off like, well, it's just one base and this one thing and this one incident, and they're going to investigate it. And we fully support and trust them, blah, 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 blah. Of course you do. You know, they had their attorneys write that crap. I actually have a good friend of mine who is a driver, and he said that he went to an Air Force base, and all the gate guards were carrying M4s instead of pistols, like 2 days ago.
Yeah, and that's what was reported in the memo that we read about a week ago. What I'm reading off of now is a statement from SIG that came out 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was replaced with the M4.
The last thing, let's keep in mind that this is supposed to be a duty gun, right? A police duty gun, and or a United States military service pistol. Now, if we go back to their owner's manual, to the M18 P320 owner's manual, there's a paragraph about abuse. And do not subject to abusive behavior. And of course, everyone who's thoughtful is like, well, yeah, duh. I mean, that's perfectly legitimate. You don't want to submit a handgun or any gun to abusive. And then they're like, well, then they give the example. The examples of abuse would include dropping, bumping, striking, hitting, whatever. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Back up the wagon there, Hoss. Did you just say dropping? You mean like from an airplane or from chest height? Because those are different. And you're talking about a duty gun, right? And you're talking about a gun that's going to be in the holster of a police officer who's going to be potentially in high stress, violent situations where he's going to be arresting people. Sometimes cops get knocked to the ground. I was a cop, man. I used to have to wrestle with people and so on and so forth. Dropping, gravity's always in effect. Mm-hmm. To say, well, never drop your gun. Well, all right, first of all, if you fumble a gun, sometimes gravity gets a hold. Things happen, right? Gravity is a law. We obey the law, right? So if you fumble a gun, we teach on our range, and a lot of other ranges teach, if you draw a gun or whatever, you're doing something with your pistol and you lose control of it. Let's say you fumble it. You open your hands and let it fall. You do not snatch it out of the air. Mm-hmm. That's the worst possible thing you could do because people have died from that. I was once part of a U.S. military training command where they did not have that policy. As a matter of fact, they punished people who dropped guns. You would either get official punishment or you would get non-official punishment or you would just be made fun of. And we had a situation with an M9 Beretta that a shooter was in the middle of a firing sequence and fumbled it, lost control of it. And instead of opening his hands and letting it fall safely to the ground, he snatched at it. And the gun in that fraction of a second was inverted. Mm-hmm. It fired and it went right through his chest and he was dead before the corpsman could get him off the range. So to put that in there, it's like, and they put it, and I checked both because I'm like, certainly there's no way that a manufacturer of a United States military service pistol would say, well, everything's cool, but don't drop it and don't bump it and don't let it get bumped while it's in the holster. And that's like, whoa, whoa. All right. Military gear is supposed to be rugged and robust. It's supposed to be tougher.
It's going to get
than
bumped.
The norm.
It's going to get bumped.
It's going to get bumped.
Yeah, I would expect that we would all expect that.
Bumped?
Yeah, I would expect that we would all expect that to be part of the rigorous training and the testing, I should say, as part of that individual gun. And let's keep in mind, too, that there was a huge process before the military selected this gun. They didn't do this blind because they read something, okay? They put it through rigorous tests as well. And I want to make that clear. Just in the essence of time, let me continue quickly. P320 range and training bans. Following several of these inaccurate reports, a number of ranges, training providers, and training facilities made the reactionary decision to ban the P320 its use in their facilities. You just heard Paul say he's one of them. We are actively working to provide these individuals with accurate information along with a detailed understanding of the P320 and its safety features. If you are impacted by a P320 range or a training provider ban, we urge you to reach out to SIG Customer Service. And I'll give you the number right now, 603-610-3000, option 1. 603-610-3000, option 1, where you can send a message from the site so that, quote, we can clarify any misinformation and provide the truth. The P320 cannot, in capital letters, under any circumstances, discharge without the trigger first being moved to the rear. When we come back, we'll continue the remainder of that statement, and then we'll talk with Paul a little bit about maybe this could have been handled differently. We'll see. Don't go away. Okay, guys, if you're watching on your devices, let me bring that camera up here. Just want to show you the binoculars here. This is the binoculars in the case. You'll get these 10 by 42s with the lens covers. If you sign up for a 5-year or life membership, if you sign up for a 1 to 3 year membership at the NRA, I've kept it flat. I'm not using this particular bag, but you can see it right here. This is the range bag that you will get from the National Rifle Association simply by joining for 1 year using the AAR promo code, or 3 years. That's simple. Sign up, rejoin, new membership, doesn't matter. You get that range bag, 5-year life membership. I did the 5-year. It's a great bargain, I think, for $125, $135. All my family members are members, and you get the binoculars as well. So please join us, won't you? We need your help. Help us grow these numbers. We're getting ready to come back right now.
This segment is brought to you by Attorneys on Retainer. Get the only self-defense program for gun owners backed by a real law firm, the Attorneys for Freedom. Visit them online at attorneysonretainer.us. Welcome back.
Yeah, you can do that, and you should. In fact, if you're watching, I have this on my desk today. This is my Attorneys on Retainer card right here. You can have one too. $35 a month to have an attorney on retainer to defend you. Should you have to use a firearm? No brainer. Don't be the person that says, golly, I should have done that, and find yourself in a Cincinnati situation and use a firearm to defend yourself or others, and all of a sudden you find some boneheaded, liberal, woke DEI prosecutor that decides to make an example of you instead of the perps, and you don't have an attorney and you're stuck with a free one, lest you mortgage everything in your life, lose your homes, your property, and everything else to do that. You don't need to do that. Attorneys on Retainer, right there. The little card that I'm holding up, size of a credit card. Put it in your wallet, okay? Attorneysonretainer.us. Save $50 with the AAR promo code, attorneysonretainer.us/AAR. And you can just click on it on my website at armedamericanradio.com. And you can find all of our great partners there, too, including Ammo Squared. Start stacking ammo. Get my notification every Wednesday. I've got thousands of rounds building over there. You can do the same thing. Barrel Buddies are over there. HeavensHarvest.com, Crossbreed Holsters, Car Arms, Defender Coffee, Emerson Knives, EmersonKnives.com. Use the promo code AAR, get 10% off a knife. All kinds of great stuff for you at ArmedAmericanRadio.com. But get yourself an attorney. Join the NRA. Two of the biggest things you can do right now to really sleep easy at night. Paul Markel, student of the gun, welcome back. So, SIG has made this very clear. And I want to give you an example. Look, if I'm innocent of a crime and I know it, damn right I want to testify, Paul, right? Because I didn't do anything. Don't tell me you're not going to put me on the stand. I can answer the questions because I was there and I didn't do anything. Yes, I want to prove my innocence. That's me. Attorneys will tell you other things. No, they're going to cross-examine you. They're going to no. I want to take the stand, right? If I'm SIG and I know I'm right, I would probably be reacting the same way. That's just the way I am. But is that the smart thing to do right now? Here's why. The problem SIG has right now might not be the 320, folks. It might not be. They've won the vast majority of lawsuits. It might not be. The problem they have now, Paul, is perception. Are you going to carry that 320 that you have? Could you be that 0.001% that might have something out of spec within that 5-step process? I'm not going to go into the armory aspect of this or the gunsmith aspect, but there's a 5-step process when you pull the trigger back on a 320 of these things that have to happen for that gun to fire and the firing pin to move forward. But suffice to say, without getting into all of that detail, could it be yours? This is the perception problem that they have in the public right now, Paul. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to carry my 320, even though I've never had a problem with it, because of that possibility that it could be right now. And I go back to that example I used with Eli Lilly and Oriflex. Should they have done what Lilly did years ago? Because this has been ongoing now for almost 10 years, but it's really ramped up over the last year and a half, Paul. How should they have handled this from a PR standpoint, do you think? And be fair.
Yeah, what their stance, I'm going to paraphrase it, but the stance is, we're right, you're wrong, shut up about it. That's the stance.
Yeah.
And the, I posted something on our socialist media about I'm waiting by the phone for them to call me. If any of your listeners want to call the 1-800-SNITCH-to-SIG line, I don't know how that benefits them. That it makes them look, I don't know. Here's the thing. There's a lot. I mean, the dominoes are falling. The suing the state of Washington to force them to allow 320s at their state police academy. Okay. And then the 1-800-SNITCH on a gun trainer line. It's like, dude, if you're a SIG fanboy and you're a 320 worshiper, go to a different school. I don't really give a crap. But the fact of the matter is, it smells. And here's something that I'm going to tell you as a person who has extensive military background. When a member of the U.S. military has a negligent discharge, if they're in control of the gun and the gun goes off,
right?
It's not like you're innocent until proven guilty. It's the exact opposite. You're guilty until you can prove yourself innocent, and good luck with that. If you're holding onto a gun and it goes bang and it wasn't supposed to, you're at fault, right? Mm-hmm. And most of those things that, the negligent discharge in the military don't go to court martials. They go to what's called non-judicial punishment, or NJP, or Article 15, where the unit commander reviews the case. What happened? Well, PFC Jones was standing post and his pistol went off, and he says he wasn't touching it, but there's no way it goes off without him touching it. And, PFC Jones could stand there and be like, no, seriously, I wasn't. And they're like, shut up. No, that's not true. The guns don't fire unless you touch them. Right. Mm-hmm. And I can guarantee, but the thing is, all right, brothers, I'm going to go out on a limb here. This is me crawling out on the limb. The experience that I have with the military is that there have been a lot of uncommanded discharges with M18, M17 pistols, but they never had a body until now.
Yeah. And that changes the perception. Yeah. That changes the public perception in most minds out there.
Well, yeah, because no one is going to find out if Lance Corporal Jones has an uncommanded discharge on post at Camp Lejeune or Camp Pendleton or whatever.
You're not going to.
No one in America is going to find out about that.
Right.
They're going to punish him. They're going to take a stripe. They're going to confine him to base or whatever, and they're going to move on. That's it. That's how it works. It's not going to be national news. There's not going to be news stories written about it. And, knowing what I know about the military, I think eventually what's going to happen is there's going to be a bunch of whistleblowers come out. They're going to come out and say, hey, they're going to call their congressman. Now that somebody's dead, if you're Lance Corporal Jones and you swear that you didn't pull the trigger, but that gun went off, and they don't want to hear it. They're like, we don't want to hear it. You obviously were messing with it. It's your fault. Take your punishment and shut up. Right. And then you find out that this guy on an Air Force base died.
Right.
And you're like, see, I knew it. I was telling the truth and they wouldn't listen to me. So you call your congressman and you say, hey, I just want to let you know. How many people is it going to have to? I don't know. But the fact is, and we haven't even dealt with the no kidding video that we had just come out a month ago of that SRO in California who dropped her shoulder bag off and the gun went bang in the holster. So is SIG going to tell me that she pulled the trigger inside of the holster? They're like, it cannot happen. We all watched it happen.
Yeah, I wish we could continue the conversation, Paul, but we're coming to a close. I'm going to leave it at that. Ladies and gentlemen, you will make up your own minds. You're smart enough to do that. You've seen the videos, you've watched the videos, you've listened to us, you've heard SIG on this show. They are welcome to come on at any time. They always have been. They always are. They're good friends of mine. Believe me, been up there many, many times. It's a world-class facility. This is bad all the way around for everybody. SIG, civilian market, military, and the rest of the industry, quite frankly. It's bad all the way around, but we're going to watch it play out. We'll be here to talk about it, and we will be 100% fair all the way around. Paul, studentofthegun.com, that would be SOTGU, correct?
SOTGU.com.
All right, let's make an announcement right now. Paul is going to be a regular on the Sunday show. We're going to be doing a segment with Paul Markel every Sunday beginning this Sunday. More about that coming up on the Monster Cast. Your weekend begins right now. Enjoy your day, whatever's left of it, and stay safe. We'll see each and every one of you on the radio on Sunday's Monster Cast.
You just filled your prescription for freedom with Mark Walters, presented by the National Rifle Association. The National Rifle Association on the Armed American Radio Network.
Okay, guys, so I understand there was no camera on the we've had cameras in here. I don't know why the cameras weren't up. I'm sure that's probably on my end. As you know, we've been doing some things behind the scenes over the last couple days and had audio only at one point and no cameras up. But, those are generally software updates. We'll make sure everything's good for Sunday for you. At least we got out there online for you today. So I hope you enjoyed the program today. Interesting conversation. We're going to watch this continue to unfold. All of us will. No doubt about it. SIG has doubled, tripled, and quadrupled down. We'll find out at some point. Was it the smart decision? It's going to shake out somehow, folks. Enjoy what's left of your day today. You got a great weekend coming up, I hope, just like I do. Enjoy it. Grill hard. Stay safe. And we'll see each and every one of you on the radio on Sunday's Monster Cast.